Hello my snacks, welcome back. My name is Jack. Now, apology in advance for today's video. Having some slight difference in the audio. I did get a bit sick this week, so you're going to enjoy a mixture of a healthy voice and a voice that wants to die. But enough about me having a sickie, let's get on with the Reddit stories. This story began in r/polyamory by Puzzle-Headed Can 9332. Desperately needing advice. Husband told me he wants to try a poly relationship after already having a girlfriend. I'm new to Reddit and just created this to get some advice. I hope I am in the right community. Okay, so my husband, who's 43, and I, 43 female, have been married for 23 years. We have never dated or even kissed anyone else. Our story is long with ups and downs. I will try to make this short, but feel free to ask any questions, as there's a lot of backstory. Okay, so as we have gotten older, we have become more open-minded. For me in particular, just learning and breaking free of what society and religion have boxed as acceptable relationships. My husband has always felt like something was missing in his heart and mind our whole marriage. There have been about 5 times in our relationship where he has met someone that helps a little bit of this hole. But as we were both clearly monogamous, I was very upset to the point of not being able to function, and we would take a break. And in the end, we would always come back together. Nothing physical was ever done, but the emotional cheating was heartbreaking for me. I now have more of an open mind, however. He said after doing some research and soul searching that he feels like he needs more than one woman to be in a relationship with, but not in general. Specifically with a woman from 5 years ago who he had one of the connections with. She had cut it off because she wanted a physical relationship with him, but he couldn't cross that line, and because she was so upset, her husband found out and they cut ties. But now, he wants to date her and stay married to me. He said he eventually wants us both to be in equal types of relationship with him. And, okay, I can think about this and see if it's something I would be comfortable with. The problem is things started back up with them seriously about 4 months ago. About a month ago, they started making out and kissing, and he just told me about this today. He wasn't even going to mention the kissing. I had to ask him specifically. He said that he plans on having a full relationship with her, intimacy and all. His want is to be with me like we have been and have her as a girlfriend too. I am not sure how I feel about that. Poly is already something I had been pondering for myself, so I am wondering if maybe I had someone else as well. We could keep what we have then and both be happier for it. So I am thinking on it. But it's really hard for me not to feel hurt over him already having someone, dating someone, and them making out, cuddling and kissing. All doing that without talking to me first. I am so furious and also sad. To make matters worse, a year ago, I fell really ill and have been on disability ever since. So, I am having a really hard time trying to figure out what I want while trying to disregard, if we aren't together anymore, how I would live and survive. He told me that he 100% will not stop seeing her and moving forward, but that he does want things to stay the same with us, and I can decide if that is what I want and to let him know. Am I putting too much importance on the kiss and overreacting on what he's done already? I also asked him, would this be where we are all together? Like knowing each other and around each other? But he said he doesn't see that working. That he wants his relationship with her totally separate and us not having anything to do with each other. Knowing each of us, he doesn't think it would work well. I need advice, please. I don't really have anyone to talk to, and I know Polly needs a lot of honesty and openness, but I can't help but feel like he's already broken that. I don't know. Any advice or thoughts are greatly appreciated. Thanks. Now, despite this husband seeming like a polyamory enthusiast, the comments in this polyamory subreddit do not have his back. Your spouse unfortunately has decided to end your marriage and abandon you. You need to make decisions with that reality in mind. This is not polyamory. This is him deciding to cheat with your permission. Call everyone. Call friends, call family, call support services, call doctors, look up your city, county, and state help resources. Tell everyone your marriage has ended because your spouse has decided to take on a new girlfriend. Do not let pain or fear keep you isolated. You are not the first person with a disability to have to rebuild after abandonment. There are resources for you. I'm really sorry they are being so cruel to you, but do not accept this. Call divorce lawyers and start your exit plan now. And if you don't already hate the husband, just listen to Opie's reply to this comment. Thank you for this reply. I feel like since he has told me his needs and what he wants, and has now put it in my court, that if I leave, It's now on me that I've broken our home with our kids. I've thrown away 23 years of marriage. I've ended what we have because I chose to leave. Not even 3 years ago, when something similar happened and we were thinking we were separating, I did the thing of telling family, friends, everyone that he told me he doesn't want to be with me anymore. So we weren't. And he did it on my birthday. He said it's partially my fault for freaking out so much and overreacting about him just wanting a close emotional relationship with another woman, one that was different than this one. Anyway, during that time, he was so sad and lonely. He had no one or nowhere to go, and I felt bad for him, even though I was heartbroken and crying every night too. But now with this one that started 6 years ago and was off for 3.5 years and started back up now again, that she is single, this one is different. She apparently is the whole package and fills all the holes in his heart that are still there. This one he actually is physically going to be with too. I told him all I have ever wanted was to be loved by someone so much that they would choose me. And he said he does. He would just also choose her. Now, people pondered further, asking, have you raised the idea of you dating to him? I don't think he'll like it, which isn't a reason not to consider it. To which OP says, yes, I have told him that if I decided I would see if what he wants will work for me, that I would also need an additional person. He was a little surprised and asked my reasoning, and said that he would be open to that. That if he wasn't, then he'd be a hypocrite, which he's not. That's right, this man was surprised. That's in suggesting a poly relationship that OP would try being poly too. Now many other comments began wondering, is it confirmed that the other woman even wants a poly relationship too? What if she wants the husband all for herself? And here's what makes it worse, according to OP. I was wondering the same thing about the other woman. Is she okay with this? So I asked. He said he hasn't talked to her about it. So I told him I want to know if that's something she would agree to. At first, he didn't want to because he didn't want to stir things up with her that might cause issues. But I told him this was important for me to know, and he said he would talk to her. He tried to push it out, but I was like, I need to know as soon as possible. He won't do it over the phone, so when he sees her next, he's trying for Saturday, he is going to talk to her about it, tell her this is what he wants. At this point, with such a unanimous feedback, I'm working with getting okay with it being over. However, I still want this answer from her, as he needs to fess up to her so she actually knows what's going on, instead of him justifying not needing to tell her anything. Okay, but as another comment asks, does she even know he is married? Nobi confirms that yes, she does. Apparently he told her he will figure something out. I'm assuming so that they can fully have a relationship and sleep together. She just has no idea he wants to keep both of us, not just leave. So it's pretty clear this is one of the worst and most toxic ways to suggest opening up your relationship. Just divorce. Just divorce. But for the last month we were wondering if there'd be an update, and it wasn't until 5 days ago that we finally got one. So, I have learned a lot about how he feels about and with this other woman, and I have done some soul searching. This is what I ended up doing. He claimed he wanted us both, separate but equal partners, and I sat with that for a bit. Then, after some talks, I realized I had only one very important question. If he had to choose now, who would it be? I gave him an example. If she came to him and said it was too hard on her to continue the open relationship and that she couldn't do it anymore, well, what would you do? Who would you stay with? And he wouldn't say the words, but he had the look on his face that said he would pick her. I told him that isn't a balanced relationship. That isn't poly. That she holds all the power. That he will do whatever it is she wants because he has to be with her, so he will do anything she wants, including leaving me. So then I told him it wasn't fair to me. That his proposal would put me at the very bottom of importance, below both of them. I told him that's not fair to me, that I don't deserve to be someone's second, someone's back burner, and so I told him I couldn't stay with him. I packed a suitcase and stayed the night with my sister down the road. We met a couple of times after that to go over logistics. I set a reasonable timeline for him to get stuff out of the house. I set the boundaries that I didn't want to see him, and I didn't want any communication unless it was logistics like bills or rides for the kids. I haven't seen him since. It's been a very roller coaster time for me. We were together for 25 years. I found one person that he actually told the woman's name to. My ex never told me, or anyone he thought might tell me. So his brother told me. I found her on Instagram and Facebook 2 days ago. Man, that was really hard to see who my spouse was dating. Seeing her adult daughter do a post that talks about how good a person she is, and I wanted so bad to say that her mum is the type of person who dates married men. I'm not going to, but I really want to message the girlfriend, thinking I might spend some time crafting it over the next week and send it. I have quite the journey ahead of me. To all those who saw through his BS and called it what it was, cheating, and who encouraged me to leave him, and who were upset on my behalf, thank you. It was really eye-opening to have such a unanimous response to my post and helped give me the courage I needed. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I just hope someday I can find someone who treats me as an equal, a partner, who would choose me over others. Edit to add, we have been married for 23 years. Now some sound the alarm with the whole sending that message to the girlfriend. Don't send it. This is just stirring up stuff, and it's the opposite of cutting off your cheating ex. Plus, she could have been anyone. Place the blame where it belongs. On the one who was actually in a relationship with you and had the power to make choices regarding it, your ex-husband. There could have been armies of women pining for your husband, but none of them could have done anything if your husband was faithful to you and wanted to keep the relationship with you. Yeah, this is how monkey branching from one relationship to another looks like in real life. I'm sorry you have to divorce, but I love the tone of this post. Very mature and confident. There are teachings after all this pain. Yeah, I have to give praise to OP for thinking up that question. One could say it traps him. Like, it's not fair to force him to choose like that when he was trying to love them equally, but it's pretty clear from this story that he was already more into her from the start. So it's valid, I reckon, to have put that sort of ultimatum question on him. This story from Defiant Ad 8175. Am I the a-hole for requesting Venmo charges from my friends after I host dinner? I'm 25 years old and have been super close with this friend group since we were all in grade school. Fast forward 15 years, some of us now live together, and we love having friends over for dinner. Anytime we've had dinners, lunches, etc., all together, I've always sent out a Venmo request the next day. It's never been more than $10 to $15 per person. Well, recently, it came to my attention that my roommates, aka my childhood friends, have a separate group chat where they've been talking smack about me, calling me cheap and even placing bets on whether I'll send a Venmo request after dinners I make. I found this out because my fiance's best friend happened to be staying with us the same week we hosted one of these dinners. Long story short, my roommates vented to her about their frustration over getting a Venmo request, and then asked her which side she was on. I'm not sure exactly what was said, but it ended up putting my fiance and me in an awkward position. We were basically told that we're not good hosts and that we're being cheap. So, am I the a-hole? Well, there was quite a bit of hate at first. You're the a-hole. Asking your friends for payment after you've hosted them is very rude. Typically, if you're hosting at your home, the expectation is that you will provide the meal. Now, it's fine to host potluck style and ask your friends to bring a specific dish, but you want them to help cover the cost of the meal, you should let them know before the event. Others agree. If I go to someone's home that's inviting me to dinner, I would be insulted if they sent me a Venmo request, unless you specifically agreed to hosting something and agreed with the people to split the cost. Others want to defend OP, saying, I think the point is that they don't really do it by choice, they do it because of space, and if everyone wants to use their space, they should pitch in. Also, not helping to clean up is rude as well. But now some have the inclination to actually get some more info first, which I think slightly changes people's opinion here. Some questions need answers before we can really assess this. Are you telling your friends ahead of time they will have to pay? Why don't you do potlucks if you want everyone to contribute? Are you the only one that hosts dinners in your friend group? If other people host, do they also charge you? Look, I get hosting can be expensive. It's not something I expect from friends, but we also often do potlucks to avoid all the cost of being on one person. But if you invited me to a dinner at your home and then sent me your money request after, I would be put off, because I might have not even gone then or would have maybe liked to have input on what was served. Now, Opie responded, yes, I should have included that they know in advance that we are having and how much it'll cost, etc. Potlucks haven't been ideal for our friend group considering everyone gets off work at different times unless it's something that's planned on the weekend. Now, I'm typically the one who usually hosts because our space is much larger. My friends have also charged me when the roles are reversed. I totally get how it would be off-putting receiving a Venmo request, but due to the nature of our friendship dynamic, it's never been an issue until now. I've even gone as far as sending out evites, including the cost of dinner for our gathering. So, with these and other questions being asked, Opie gets inclined to make an update that gives some more information on things. Update, I feel that my post needs more context and I want to answer the questions that I'm being asked. My friends are always well aware of what will be served, the cost, and any other important details ahead of time. In fact, I have even gone as far as sending out receipts the day of or sending out an evite with all the relevant info like the dinner menu, cost, etc. I'm typically the one who hosts, mainly because our house can comfortably accommodate more people. But the real issue isn't with our guests or outside friends, it's with my friends and roommates who I live with. They're the ones who have been complaining about it. See, in our household, whenever someone does a grocery run or restocks shared items, we always send out Venmo charges to split the cost. That's never been an issue. We've all lived for almost a year now together, and in that time, my fiance and I have consistently been the only ones who cook meals for everyone and clean the house. That kind of effort has never been reciprocated, and it's disappointing. What makes it more frustrating is that our friends who come over have never once complained about the Venmo charges, and many of them even approach hosting in the same way we do. So either OP is avoiding some extra context here, or these housemates are the most scummy entitled housemates I've ever heard of. The fact that OP allegedly cooks for them all and cleans for them all, and they don't even seem to offer to wash up in any way, because, surely OP would have mentioned that. That's just baffling. But let me know what you think. Maybe I'm missing something here. Something about this feels a bit too frustrating to be true. This story began 2 months ago with a recent update just in the last day. From Conscious Shine 8265. My husband's card hobby is ridiculous. My husband's hobby is killing our marriage. I need advice. My husband and I have been married for 5 years with a 3-year-old daughter, and my husband's card hobby is killing our marriage. For background, last year he started getting into wanting a hobby or business in buying and selling NFL or NBA cards, which he started after having gambling issues with roulette virtually. He ended up hiding how much he was spending, putting at least $8,000 on credit cards in 2 to 3 months without him selling any cards. I am the breadwinner in the family as well. I make approximately $7,200 a month post-taxes, and he makes about $4,000 post-taxes monthly. Before having the hobby, he also bought a $90,000 car with a $1,745 car payment because it made him happy, although I said it was not a good idea. Due to the spending issue and other factors like him having anger issues, I filed for divorce last year. He said he would quit the hobby and sell all his things, do therapy, and change. Well, I canceled the divorce and stayed to work on the marriage with a marriage counselor. We did sessions, but over time, he hasn't felt like they've been necessary. So we now have $72,000 in debt consolidation because of cards, his past gambling, as well as a multiple of different things. 1 year later, he is now into his hobby again and has already put about $800 on the credit cards. He is trying to use TikTok or whatnot to do a game platform and make money. See, his philosophy is you have to spend money to make money. Like example, he wanted to buy $1,000 worth of packs of unopened cards to try and sell them. When I explained that I am not a fan of this hobby, he says I can't ever let him have a hobby, and I'm glad it's not golf because he would never be home. I honestly feel like this is not going to end well. We have also tried splitting finances, but that wasn't the best as he was not always able to pay me back for half the mortgage or our daughter's school. I really don't think this marriage is going to last unless I support this hobby and let him buy or spend on whatever he thinks is necessary. Top comment says, he doesn't have a hobby. He has an addiction, and that addiction is gambling. Opening trading card packs is the same thing as gambling, only in this case you are hoping to hit it big with that one card that sells for hundreds to thousands. Trading cards can be a hobby if one responsibly collects and buys single cards that they want for their hobby and at times opens packs for the fun of it. Your husband is not doing that. He needs to address and get treatment for his gambling addiction, and due to his addiction's close association with collecting trading cards, he is going to need to give that up. If he can't, not only will your marriage not survive, he will ruin his life financially beyond repair. And that advice becomes very necessary when you read the updates here. Update. I went through his eBay account and found he put 2 bids for a $1,500 card and a $1,900 one, and made an offer for a third card for $1,900. Also, forgot to put our ages. I am 32 and he is 42. Second update, got in an argument and said I was not happy and wanted a divorce. His reply was, I told you I wouldn't let the hobby ruin the family and I'll get rid of everything, etc. My reply was, that's beside the point. And so 2 days later, there was an update, just going into a bit more detail than the single comment she left in the original post. I had asked for a divorce 2 days ago, but he told me he wanted to still be together. Well, today, it was brought up again, and he said he would get the divorce, and he has accepted it. I have a great sense of relief, yet a significant amount of grief. Grief for the past, present, and future, as well as not knowing what the future will hold, and if I made the right choice for my daughter. The relief is knowing I won't have to worry about any hobbies or being yelled at and called names for reasons that are dumb. We have not obtained a lawyer, but I assume we would do that in the upcoming weeks. I hope this was the best decision for both of us and we can have a happy future apart for our daughter. If there is any advice for life during the divorce process and after with children involved, we have one daughter who is turning 3, then I would love that as well. Cheers to new beginnings. Now, comments were basically the same thing of just celebrating and cheering OP on. Nothing really of substance. I do just want to highlight this last little bit of an update from the OP at the time. Thank you everyone for the advice and support. Definitely made the right decision as he has now decided cards weren't his thing and is now looking into doing e-commerce. Looking at getting my own lawyer and moving out. Oh lad, just get a normal job. Another quick update to also say, met with my own lawyer today and found a house for my daughter and I. Going to start moving out this weekend as well as file the papers. There has been great relief knowing I am no longer going to be in this marriage. I am so happy I finally stood up for my daughter and myself and happy to start my new life. We will still be amicable as it is in our daughter's best interest, and I want him to be a part of her life. I do believe that is the best for her. Thanks everyone for all the support and advice and future advice. And so that's when we come to the update today, about 2 months after the original. OP essentially copied the entire original story in the post with just an update down at the bottom. We are in the waiting period for the divorce and I did file. I have moved out and we are living separately but still are friends. I am working with a therapist myself to try to work on me and my decision and the emotions that come with it. My biggest thing is that it has been 2 months still thinking we can work on things as with time we both have been having greater perspectives and where things have gone wrong in the marriage. We are going to do a couple counseling to work on ourselves together to better co-parent. We both are still thinking it may be salvageable after a year of separation and intense single and couple counseling. The past 2 months reflecting with my therapist has made me realize that I have played a part in allowing the gambling to happen and buying cards as when he would hit big, I would be happy and ask him to keep going, as well as I would always want to go on expensive trips and put us further into debt. I really believe we both played a part in the marriage and separation, and it will take both of us with hard work to maybe, if ever in the future, make it work. But for now, I'm going to stick it out and finish the filing for divorce, especially because he mentioned he wants to make an e-commerce business and brought me flashbacks. Here's to being financially free and self-free. So that update being immediate red flags for people. He's ruining you and your child's lives by this stupidity. He's destroying your credit. Why are you letting him do this? Get as far away from this wretched person as possible. With that very same person replying to their own comment to say, I'm sorry I was so harsh. But all of us removed from any of the emotions can see this train wreck coming a million miles an hour. He's making such poor decisions for himself and his family. Please leave with your child and yourself unharmed physically with a chance of not being consumed in the path of a very chaotic partner. At the very least, he's an extremely selfish and dishonest person. Be sure and check if he has hidden credit cards in you and your child's names, friends, family, etc. He sounds like a toddler who's stomping his feet and saying you won't let him have a hobby. If he wants a hobby, it should be a second job to repay you. Personally, I think it's some amazing emotional maturity for OP to reflect and be able to notice how they, while not responsible entirely, but still did their own influential part in this gambling addiction with their partner. It's one thing to be proud of your partner's efforts, it's another to be encouraging them to keep going with it. Again, wife absolutely should divorce, and I'd also be very hesitant to actually get back into this relationship. As comments say, like applauding you for the accountability of you takes a big person to do that, but more importantly, I hope he is doing the same. Marriage is hard, but he has to do his part as well. If you have to walk away entirely, you at least did everything you could. This next story by Shinji Ocean. Am I overreacting? Girlfriend spontaneously left on a trip with polyamorous friends 200 miles away. Background information. Girlfriend and I rent a place together, and she's been in need of friends. She gets Bumble BFF mode and matches with a guy. He let her know very well that he's in a relationship, a polyamorous one, in fact. And so that's how she's just addressed them to me, the polyamorous couple. So he feels it's necessary that she become friends with his girlfriend as well, as their conversations include his girlfriend about half the time. So naturally, the couple wanted to meet up in real life for the first time. In regards to her own safety, my girlfriend asks me if I'd be willing to come along and eat with them, as she wouldn't feel comfortable meeting strangers by herself. Now, while I agree, the couple tells my girlfriend that they have problems with boyfriends and would much prefer that I don't go. So my girlfriend goes to a food spot at a mall where she feels more comfortable being in a very public area. Time passes by and they all keep talking, the three of them now friends. My girlfriend asks if I could be incorporated, but it always ends up being unaddressed. However, they've increasingly been hanging out and it always seems to be at their own place. While we extend the offer to come over to our own place, plans never surmise and they end up just hanging out by their own place or somewhere in the city. They also offer to drive from their place over to our place to pick her up and drop her off, and then drive back to their place when I'm always available to drop her off myself and save them the gas. For his birthday, they decided to take a 7-hour trip down south to my girlfriend's hometown. While her hometown isn't completely random, no one takes the trip there because of all the other places around it. It's like traveling to Daly City when San Francisco is right there. It was oddly specific and weird to me. Fast forward to a few days ago where my girlfriend had made plans to go to an open house with them very close to our house. It's a Sunday where we reset and do chores. We're both watching our TV shows, and she's even feeling like she doesn't want to hang out. She says it'll only be an hour. 1 hour passes by as I'm doing chores around the house, and suddenly she's eating dinner with them. It's not the biggest deal until I get the phone call that she wants to join them to visit his parents' place 200 miles out that night. We went from 1 hour, which became 4 hours, which now is 3 days. His parents also don't live anywhere special. It's just a completely random, spontaneous trip that made no sense to me. Look, while she is an adult and capable of making her own choices, I was pretty upset as I'd pretty much wasted my day and the weekends are our time since we're working and going to school throughout the week. When they got to my house to pick up her stuff, I tried asking them all if they'd much rather plan a trip for the 4 of us together, as it didn't really make sense for my girlfriend to randomly go out about on a Sunday night. It also gives me a chance to get to know them as well. However, anything I said fell on deaf ears and they all were dead set on leaving. They were trying to justify saying, "Do you even know my parents? They work in the same field that she wants to get into, so she has to meet them. She's already been missing classes and work and now she won't even have the chance to do that for 2 days. I can't even guarantee my girlfriend's safety 200 miles out for people who are essentially strangers to me. It's also extremely convenient that they propose a 3-day trip once she's already hanging out with them and paid for her dinner. I'd have imagined they would have proposed that earlier in the week so she could get prepared or something. I know they're her friends, but at the same time, they've never made any effort to at least talk or get to know me. When, on the other hand, his girlfriend was a package deal when my girlfriend never asked. The pretense of everything has just been weird, and they just seem to be moving weird in my opinion. It astounds me how slimy this story can make me feel. Out of perspectives, aren't afraid to say it. They are dating your girlfriend. Yep, she's their girlfriend now. Comrade girlfriend. Others wouldn't even dare suggest ignorance. If your girlfriend isn't cheating on you, then she is being deeply naive about this couple's intentions. But at this point, I would seriously reconsider this relationship. Others want to accuse this couple that these people are predators, and if they aren't, they sure as hell rhyme with it. Creditors? No, Redditors. For me, it feels like the cards are really aligning perfectly here that this is all an attempt to isolate her and persuade her without giving the chance to actually think that she wants to be a part of this relationship. But now, according to some of these comments, they think some of the poly people's behavior here is justified. So, a lot of poly people end up attacked or hit on by monogamous straight men. It is not great that they won't include you, but there's a history there. The big question is, do you trust your girlfriend? As a queer woman, I will and do cuddle up to poly men and women and feel perfectly safe with them. They have never escalated to intimate actions without a rather in-depth conversation. So if I'm called at the club, I'm asking the poly woman to cuddle me. Others argue nothing's gone wrong here. Alright, let's be real. She's not doing anything wrong here. She's finally making friends after feeling isolated, and instead of supporting her, you're making this about you. She asked you to be involved in the beginning, and when they expressed discomfort about boyfriends, she still tried to incorporate you. They didn't outright ban you, they just have their boundaries, which she's respecting. Meanwhile, you're upset that they're not bending over backwards to include you in her friendships. That's not their responsibility. Then there's the trip. Yeah, it was spontaneous, but so what? She's an adult, and she wanted to go. She doesn't need to ask for permission or justify every social decision to you. It's not like she ditched you on an important date or left you stranded somewhere. She just took an opportunity to do something fun and different. Instead of being excited for her, you're acting like she personally betrayed you just by having a life outside of your relationship. And let's be honest, if she had come to you earlier in the week saying, hey, I might take a trip with them, would you really have been cool with it? Or would you have just started questioning it from the jump? It sounds like no matter how she went about this, you would have found an issue with it. If anything, she might have kept it spontaneous because she knew you'd react like this. At the end of the day, you don't own her weekends, and her time isn't something you're entitled to. Relationships are about trust. And right now, you're acting like she has to prove herself to you just because she has new friends. Maybe instead of trying to control the situation, you should work on your own insecurities and let her breathe. So I think we found the guy from the poly couple. No, but look, they are out of line with what they're saying, but they are also possibly valid in some aspects. I've been theorizing while reading this story that it may be possible. Look, not defending, just theorizing and explaining, that OP is a bit of a helicopter parent of a partner, and the girlfriend, through friendships, has actually been trying to sort of get away from him. I don't want to accuse some domestic abuse sort of thing and that level of controlling, because that's not fair and there's no legitimate information to really say that otherwise, aside from the fact that he feels like his girlfriend is constantly avoiding him. But with all those comments, let me know what you think. Is this definitely cheating? Is she just someone who doesn't seem to have friends, being groomed through their naivete into a relationship dynamic they don't realize is very much crossing the line in their relationship? Give me your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious how you think this should be played out. This story by Live Tree. My ex cheated on me with me. A few months being with each other, I saw a post on our local city page that said something like, I miss being able to talk to women now that I'm in a relationship. The username was one he commonly used for things, and after checking his profile, I suspected that it was my ex. I was confused, though, because I never said he couldn't talk to women, so I made a fake account and reached out to the person, hoping that maybe we had a misunderstanding in our relationship and boundaries. But lo and behold, he was referring to being able to sext women. Once I realized this, I decided to see how far he was willing to go if a woman showed interest in him. In less than a few hours, he was full-blown sexting this fake persona I created. I wanted to see how fast he would hook up with someone. Well, he made plans to meet her in less than 24 hours of knowing her. I invited him over to my house the next day to confront him. I pretended that I had a friend who was mutuals with the person he was sexting, and they were having girl talk about boys, and she realized the mutual friend was talking to my ex, so she sent me the messages. Anyways, the story of how I found out was so BS, but he believed me because I had screenshots. I actually don't know why I didn't just say he was really talking to me the whole time, but I gave an Oscar-worthy performance of the betrayal that he would do this with another woman. He tried to give me the I've made a severe lack of judgment apology and the good old I'll go to therapy plea, but I already detached myself the second he was willing to cheat. I still don't know if there was other women he was talking to or sleeping with, but seeing how fast he was willing to disrespect our relationship was enough for me. It sucks because prior to that, I considered him a green flag, but now looking back, I guess the first red flag I should have saw was that he was a self-proclaimed nice guy. Anyways, I learned my lesson the hard way. Now, it's a fun, low-effort way to find out about your partner cheating, but I do agree with this missed opportunity in this comment. Should have went through with it and agreed to meet him at his place, and then just watch the life drain from his face when he sees you there instead. But Opie admits that, honestly, I was too distraught at the time to come up with a plan other than the BS one I did, but this would have been genius. But yeah, ultimately, as this comment says, people like this are never sorry or regret that it happened. They are sorry or regret getting caught. This next story by Mean Tackle 9324. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend it's his fault that all his women have dumped him after he reacted poorly to my career success and wanted me to choose. Last week, I, a 41-year-old female, took my boyfriend Tony, male 42, who I've been with for 5 years, out on a date to celebrate a huge career milestone. Since 2014, I've been working towards getting a very comprehensive project from concept to reality. I took all the steps, got into a better situation 6 years ago, and I got commitment from investors to take it into its next phase. Now, Tony is an engineer. That's important to the story. We met in college, and I've always considered him smart and a bit of my dream guy. I thought we would have a quiet dinner, reaffirm being there for each other, and then get it on. Instead, I had to hear him ranting, saying how unrealistic I am, that I'm biting more than I can chew. I'm not gonna make this too long, so the whole thing sounded like a "who do you think you are" from him. I had to explain there's no way I'm trying to bite too much. I have built my credibility. I have worked very hard to establish a decent track record and acquired solid associates to bring additional standing for our project. And still, he made very derogatory remarks, the kind one does when in disbelief or chronic disapproval, and said nothing is going to happen, that I'm stuck, and that I compromised myself, for which he is concerned. I'm mad at myself for not saying anything on the spot. Instead, I've been overthinking. He and I had plans to get married, raise our kids in a blended family, and grow old together. But he didn't congratulate me. He didn't even give me a celebratory kiss. I haven't even cried yet because I'm numb. The things he said struck a chord in a bad way. So basically, he thinks that I've been lucky. I did talk to him about it after I went to my place, and he doubled down with suspicions of cheating on my part. He says there's no way I could get this far. I asked if he's mad because my project would also include his industry, which he's very proud of, and he denied it. This is like an ice bucket on my head. We tried to talk 2 nights ago at his place, and I left feeling worse. He says he wants a partner to enjoy life together, and that I'm too old to dedicate myself to a massive project because I should have done it earlier. I don't understand, since years ago, he wanted a successful woman for himself. He said I needed to make up my mind between my reality, which is our tangible relationship, and my perceived new developments. I reminded him about what he said, and that his words about me cheating or sleeping my way through my career was especially disrespectful, because he knows I was sexually harassed at some point, and I was concerned for my safety. He said I was manipulative. He called me last night like nothing happened. I broke up with him and told him to look in the mirror and ask himself why he was dumped by all of his exes. He said I was using very personal things that he told me against him and that it was disappointing. I texted him back and said that I'm not responsible for his reactions when he was so inconsiderate. He has been asking me to apologize since he woke up. He sounds weird and a bit depressed, and he says I used painful situations in his past for leverage, such as his ex-wife divorced him, his ex-fiancée cheated and left him before the wedding, but I don't feel like I owe him anything. I didn't mention anything specifically, but I just said it's his fault that his women run for the hill, figuratively. So am I the a-hole for refusing, although I think this affected him mentally? A quick edit. He works the same job since after college, with a very well-recognized company that comes with status and stability. He has access to nice things, and it's not like my project will affect his company. It's a strange 180 of behavior. Comments say, not the a-hole. This is his problem, not your problem. Congratulations on your project. Best wishes moving on. But yes, as many comments desperately try to understand why this man did such a 180, others give the theory that it's because they're never really supportive. They're just buying their time until they can have you cornered or have you so manipulated and gaslighted that you think up is down. Opie's ex didn't think she would ever achieve her goal. Yeah, he wants a successful woman, but not one that has more status and wealth than him. And to think so low of you to associate your success with sex instead of the hard work and long hours you put. Just block him and learn from this blip in life. Another great point. Or maybe he wants a successful woman so it is even more enjoyable for him when he wants her to give up everything for him. With this other great observation, the way my mother always explained it, the traditional man wants a woman to be subservient, but he never falls in love with subservient women. He's attracted to independent women. He's like an exotic bird collector, she said. He only wants a woman who is free because his dream is to put her in a cage. This is a quote by Trevor Noah, which apparently, according to the comment below, just broke something for them, and now they're gonna have to make some hard choices. All the best to you, shat spiders. Overall, his sudden blowout does seem kind of suspicious. It really does remind me of that previous story we read where it turns out the man was cheating this entire time and was just trying to find something to be upset about so that he could shift the blame. But I suppose we'll just have to wait for an update to find out if that's the case. This story by MB Will8809. I believe I may have caused the end of my friend's marriage. My buddy, 42 male, I've known him since middle school and his wife have 2 kids. They've been married for 16 years. Apparently, he's had a very low sperm count for years, and they were quite lucky to conceive twice. Regardless, this past Saturday, they're over our house with another couple for dinner, and we're all laughing, and the conversation is light, and his wife asks us this hypothetical. Say your husband asked you for a paternity test. Would you give him one? Well, I know my wife's stance on this. She is strongly against accusing women of infidelity under the guise of these tests. So I beat her to it and said, laughingly, if I ever asked, and I never would, she would probably get me positive results within a day or 2 stapled to divorce papers, and that would be that. But I would never ask, because I love and trust my wife and know there's never any doubt. I think if you're the guy asking, your marriage is already probably screwed, and you're killing time till one of you finally starts the ball rolling on divorce. Well, guess who didn't realize that was not a fun, harmless hypothetical, but in fact a shotgun, loaded question pointed right at me? Yeah, yours truly. Turns out my buddy's wife is 9 weeks along, and he, knowing his count is very low, just needed to make sure. Big mistake, man. She was willing to give him the confirmation. Upset he would question it, though. My comments were like gasoline on a bonfire, and from what my wife just texted me, they may be separating over this issue. I texted them both to say I was so sorry and didn't mean to imply anything, and every situation has nuance. It's unique, etc., but I doubt it helped at all. But guys, why are you asking this question to your wives of many years? It's just sad all around, and now their 3rd child may be born into a 1-parent household. He could have started with a urologist to find out if his count had improved. Like, there are so many options before accusing his wife of cheating. Now, most believe, as this comment says, their marriage was over long before you opened your mouth. If anything, it seems like you just helped them fast-track the process. Others actually want to point out how the wife and other husband here are kind of a-holes to do this too. Like, they should not have set you up like that. They never would have liked any answer anyway, and they were already on the outs. Others continuing that, yeah, hubby asked for a test and they likely argued, so she asked his closest friend to get a 1-up. But more importantly, an argument as to why he shouldn't have brought it up in the first place. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do, but I always wonder why those guys who demand a paternity test to their partner don't just test their kids behind their wife's back. Now, I'm not advocating for this, but rationally, it seems like there's no downside to this compared to bluntly asking your wife. Oh yeah, my best bud did something like this. He didn't start suspecting until his son was older, but then found out their blood types didn't match. He then found out her ex's did. No one has ever told him, the son, and we're not gonna. So yeah, take what you will from those comments, just like I shall now take my leave. Thank you as always for watching, especially if you got this far into the video. Love your face for sticking around to the end, and until next time, you be good, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.